Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Hoops with Noops. Of course, I am Alex Noops Christensen. You can always find me on Twitter at _Noops and at FTN. I'm always doing a lot of content, a lot of writing. We've been doing playback watch streams, which if you haven't gotten to see, a lot of fun. You can come join us, actually watch the game. If you don't have access to a way to stream the game, you join us. We can set you up with VIP. You can actually see the game. We'll talk about it. We share live bets. Myself and Prop God last night won a couple pretty easily in the Celtics Cavaliers game. So keep an eye on the FTN Twitter accounts at FTN Bets and at FTN Fantasy for more news on that in the future. And if you haven't already, sign up for FTN. You can see in the crawling banner down below a code to get you a little bit off all the great data, tools, content that we produce here at FTN, as well as access to the Discord. There's a lot of great conversation, extra bets going there, all my player props, my futures as soon as I make them, bets like this. And also, again, we talk through models, we share stuff with you, and a lot of great conversation from members themselves. So sign up today at the very least, hit the subscribe button down below. You get a lot of free content, a lot of really good stuff. The Morning Model, Mean Streets, a lot of really good shows there. Give me a thumbs up. That always helps support myself and the fine folks at FTN. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking, what other bets you might have, and I'll be sure to get back to you ASAP. But for now, let's talk about the NBA playoffs, which it's always amazing. Every year I'm reminded of how quickly things can change, whether it be a series shaped by injury or just wildly different expectations from what has actually happened. I mean, injuries come to everyone, and there are teams that are better equipped to handle them than others, but any injury, even to a bench player on a deep team, requires that team to change its schemes, to adjust its lineups. It creates just a little bit more drama, a little bit more excitement, a little bit more unknown. And at the same time, we see young players generally struggle. Veterans generally do well. But what if those veterans are burnt out? What if they just don't quite have the energy left to make it through these tough, intense games? What if the young players do? What if they actually can rise to the occasion and really raise their level and show us that they're going to be some of the best players in the league? I think we have a lot of those dynamics at play with both games tonight. I'll talk through both of them. I've got a bet in just one of them, and we'll start with that game. The New York Knickerbockers go to Indiana to play the Pacers. The Pacers 7.5-point favorites at home. The total 222.5. One of my favorite things to do in the playoffs is always try to look at the current line versus some previous lines. I know a lot of people think that, wow, Pacers minus 7.5, that's a huge adjustment. I mean, the Knicks closed minus 4.5, in game two. So we're looking at an 11-point adjustment here, almost 12 points. It's a really quite a big change. And you look at it, first chunk of it is pretty clearly the change in venue. We're going from New York to Indiana. If you look at the postseason, the market has valued that anywhere between 7 and 8 points, sometimes a little bit more. So that leaves about a 3-4 point adjustment, if you will, for what? OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby strained his hamstring, is going to miss tonight's game, probably the next few games, if not even more time. A really important piece for the New York Knicks, one of their best defensive players, a good shooter, and for a team that is really down to just a few guys now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Thibodeau only plays 6 guys. I guess at some point he probably has to play a 7th there for a few minutes, but it's going to be really rough. I think Hart plays the whole game. DiVincenzo probably plays the whole game. We see Brunson for 42 to 44 minutes, I think. It's just going to be really tough for those Knicks guys without Anunoby. So that adjustment makes sense to me. I think the spread here looks pretty good. The Pacers going back home should see their role players improve. Tyrese Halliburton finally had a good game there in game 2, despite the Pacers losing. Turner and Siakam hasn't been themselves, but again, in general, the spread looks good to me. But the total, I think it's a little bit low here. We started with a total around 217, around 215, went well over that. 217, well over that. Now we're looking at 222.5. The pace has been fast. The threes have been plentiful. A lot of free throws for these teams. Again, creating extra possessions, creating easy points. All that stuff is really great for an over. I like that angle quite a bit, but I'm a little concerned about New York. Again, not sure what to expect from that roster without Anunoby, but I do expect the Knicks defense to be worse. And as I said, a lot of positives here for Indiana that scored a lot of points in the first 2 games anyway, and well more than the current team total of 114.5. The Knicks have been at 117, 120 in the postseason. I have them at 117 here tonight. Again, Halliburton finally playing better, a little shooting regression from some of the other players going back home. And again, the role players the home teams generally do well in the postseason. A lot of things pointing me towards the over. Again, especially Indiana's going to continue to run and be able to attack a Knicks defense, which should be noticeably worse without Anunoby. Like the full game over, I just think this is a better angle. So it's going to be a Pacers team total over at 114.5. Again, a little juicy at minus 120. I think, honestly, minus 130 or better is a good bet. If you're looking at 115.5 points, that's fine. Just try to find it at minus 105, something in that range. Minus 110 is probably okay, but I would draw the line right there. So Pacers team total over. I like that quite a bit. This next game, I don't know what's going to happen here. I have watched game 2 of this series about 5 or 6 times now, and it continues to just confuse me. There's the Denver Nuggets down 2 games. Go to Minnesota. The Timberwolves 3.5-point favorites. The total 205.5. Again, starting by looking at the previous game there. Nuggets close around 7-point favorites without Rudy Gobert. They come back home. Rudy Gobert's in. We change home court. This line makes sense. The total looks good to me at 205, but I don't know what I'm quite basing that on. I mean, this Minnesota team has been incredible. They haven't lost a game yet. The defenses looked excellent. I went back again and continue to watch that game too. I've never seen Jokic look so confused and just disoriented and uncomfortable on a basketball court. Was able to have less turnovers, had 7 in game 1, only 4 in game 2. But we saw Minnesota just continually attack him. And I think that's because Murray's got that calf injury. Reggie Jackson has that calf injury. Those are the only 2 other ball handlers on the team besides Jokic, and they are clearly very limited. So the Timberwolves defense knows they can attack Jokic over and over and over again, doubling, pressing him, being more aggressive, and have plenty of time to catch up with Murray and Jackson if they're on the court. Denver's got to find a way to generate some more offense. I don't know if it's using Porter Jr. more, who, again, not a ball handler, but at least can score a little bit one-on-one, trying to run some stuff through Aaron Gordon. Something has to change tonight. Maybe it will. Mike Malone is an excellent coach, but is this the end of the Nuggets? Is this some sort of injury thing? Is Jokic just not there? I mean, is Anthony Edwards at 22 years old ready to lead the Timberwolves to the NBA Finals? Maybe. That's where I am. I mean, are the last 2 games reality, or just a 2-game sample size where all of a sudden the Nuggets will sort of get themselves together, gut out a win here tonight, try to balance things a bit and hold on? I just don't know. My projections are close to the numbers here, thankfully, and I just don't have a strong feeling either way. It's a tough game. The only thing I'll say is, and I'll throw this in for the people that actually listen and watch as opposed to just scroll through for the best bets, look at some player props on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Our model over at FTN loves him. His point total's just 6.5. Play over that. I don't mind his over 3-pointers as well, but as far as the full game goes, I just struggle to see what's going to happen there. However, I do expect a lot of points for the Indiana Pacers tonight. They return home. Noah Edge, OG Anunoby, a Knicks team that knows they're playing with house money a little bit, might try to run, definitely will struggle on defense. I like that quite a bit. So go ahead and grab yourself some of the Pacers there at over 114.5. Really appreciate you watching. As I've said before, subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment down below, and I'd appreciate a thumbs up. I'll be back on Monday with another video and more Hoops with Noops. Best of luck until then.